Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. I hope everybody's in a good mood, man. It's Friday. I'm not in a good mood because I've been watching these impeachment inquiry hearings, and it's driving me nuts. Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. Anyway, glad you could join us. A lot to get to, a lot to go over. And, boy, I'll tell you what, I don't even know where to start, but I guess we have a little bit of organization in this show. So I'll kind of run through what we're going to be going out through. You know, we talk a lot about red flag laws on this show, and, you know, it's been talked about throughout the country. You know, we got to do something to end gun violence. We got to do something to help end the type of violence that we're seeing, school shootings. Well, we have someone coming on our show. She actually does a radio show here. Her name is Tina Trenner, and she is against these red flag laws. Oh, boy. I'm sure we're going to get into a very good, lively discussion with her. Chad Prather, I apologize, is a pretty popular comedian. He's known as the political cowboy as a conservative. He's made appearances on A&E, MSNBC, CNN. He's going to be joining us coming up in the second hour, and he's actually performing on the Strip this week. So we'll talk to him coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, we've been talking about this all week, too. UNLV, of course, has hired a new football coach in Marcus Arroyo, and the press conference is at 11 a.m. on the UNLV campus. If you can't be there, guess what? All you got to do is tune into our show because we are going to be covering it live for you, the press conference there at UNLV, as Desiree Reed-Francois, the athletic director, will be introducing Marcus Arroyo as the new football coach, and friend of the show, correspondent Chris Wynn, will be there, and we'll be hearing from him live as well. So that'll be coming up in hour number 3. But if you haven't been paying attention to the news over the course of the last 24 hours, well, the Judiciary Committee has approved articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. Obviously, this is historic. Obviously. And I got to tell you something. I'm watching some of this yesterday. I watched for a few hours, actually, the hearings yesterday. And basically, this is just Democrats and Republicans, you know, arguing against one another on the articles of impeachment. There were no witnesses, you know, that they were asking questions to, no attorneys. And it was amazing to me because you just have people on the right that are saying the president did absolutely nothing wrong and it's a farce for the Democrats. By the way, many of these Republicans a month or two ago said that what the president did do was wrong, but they didn't know if it reached the level of impeachment. But now all they're doing is blaming Democrats, and they're on one side. And then you have the Democrats on the other side all saying that the president basically is a criminal, that it was abuse of power. I mean, we are so divided as a country, and then we wonder why we're so divided as a country when you watch these impeachment inquiry hearings yesterday. And my issue with this is there is no middle ground. I didn't hear one politician yesterday, not one, say something like, you know what the president did was wrong. It was inappropriate. He shouldn't have brought up the Bidens in that phone call. I don't know whether this is an impeachable offense or not. I really don't know the answer to that. Maybe we need to discuss that further. But why can't we all agree that the president's behavior at the very least is wrong? And then let's have a conversation. Republicans are not willing to do that. And you know what? Even some Democrats are not willing to do that. They think the president belongs, in jail. I mean, we are so divided as a country, it's unbelievable. And it got worse, by the way, and I'll get to that, what I mean by that in a second here. But here's the House Judiciary Committee this morning approving 2 articles of impeachment. Have a listen to this.
Is there every member of the committee who wishes to vote voted? The clerk will report.
Mr. Chairman, there are 23 ayes and 17 noes.
The article is agreed to. The resolution is amended as ordered reported favorably to the House.
All right, so that's making it official, right? Nadler, who, by the way, I'm not a big fan of either. I think he's a partisan hack as well. You know, this was a 14-hour debate yesterday. 14-hour debate on these articles of impeachment. What did you think that if a Republican or a Democrat said, you know what, Donald Trump abused his power, do you think you'd find a Republican with a backbone who would agree with that? Of course not. You're not going to change their mind, and vice versa. Of course not. So Nadler surprised Republicans yesterday by abruptly calling a recess. Have a listen to this.
Impeachment, and to let history be our judge, the committee is in recess.
Mr. Chairman. there was no consulting from the minority ranking member on your schedule for tomorrow, in which you just blown up schedules for everyone. You chose not to consult the ranking member on a schedule issue of this magnitude.
So typical.
This is the kangaroo court that we're talking about.
This is
It's more
outrageous.
Stalin-esque than
Unbelievable.
Not even consult.
Just Stalin-esque. Let's have a dictator. It's good to hear about that.
10 a.m.
Unbelievable.
Stalin-esque. Now, I don't like Nadler. I don't like really many of the politicians that are running or that, run this country. But to compare Nadler and say Stalin-esque, to me, is just as bad as calling Donald Trump Adolf Hitler. It is the exact same thing. You have two evil, murderous dictators, and any of those buffoons on the right that made those statements are the same ones that say to compare Donald Trump to a Nazi, to call Donald Trump a racist makes you a terrible human being. Well, guess what? They did the exact same thing. Calling Nadler Stalin-esque. I mean, these are the people that are running our country. They act like a bunch of 10-year-olds yesterday. It's incredible. It's amazing. And by the way, Matt Gaetz, who I think is one of the worst politicians and one of the worst human beings alive, I really feel that way. He spent about 5 minutes yesterday attacking Hunter Biden for his alcohol abuse and his drug abuse. Now, take a listen to this.
I don't want to make light of anybody's substance abuse issues. I know the president's working real hard to solve those throughout the country, but it's a little hard to believe that Burisma hired Hunter Biden to resolve their international disputes when he could not resolve his own dispute with Hertz rental car over leaving cocaine and a crack pipe in the car.
Yeah, you know what's really hard to believe? That a bunch of morons voted you into office because you're a drunk. You decided to get into a car and risk everybody's life in that process. If I recall, back in 2008, you're the one that got the DUI. You're the one that was labeled a drunk in college by some of your friends, some of the people that you hung out with. And the audacity of you, and by the way, this has absolutely nothing to do with whether Donald Trump should be impeached or not. Nothing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hunter Biden could be a serial rapist and it still wouldn't give the president the right to do what he did in that phone call. It has nothing to do with it. But the audacity of this moron, Gaetz, who's had many demons of his own. Look, I understand. Nobody's perfect. I wouldn't have brought up this about Gaetz, about his drunkenness in college. You know, boy, it sounds like a judge on the Supreme Court, doesn't it? Those two have a lot in common. Gaetz is the guy that had the DUI. Gaetz is the guy that had the drinking problem. Gaetz is the guy that could have killed somebody on the road because of his irresponsible actions. And this is the guy we want up there in Congress. This is the guy we want up there talking policy. This is the guy we want up there defending Donald Trump, a man who doesn't even know how to drive a vehicle unless he's impaired. Are you kidding me? So Representative Hank Johnson, who I don't know a lot about, obviously he's a Democrat, he took that personal. I would take that personal too. Here's a man up there talking about Hunter Biden, who's, by the way, not a politician, and Gaetz is the guy who got the DUI. Take a listen to this. So this is right after Gaetz went after Biden about having some substance abuse issues. Here is Hank Johnson fighting back.
I would say that the pot calling the kettle black is not something that we should do. I don't know what members, if any, have had any problems with substance abuse, been busted in DUI. I don't know. But if I did, I wouldn't raise it against anyone on this committee.
Yeah, no crap. But this is Matt Gaetz. He makes his appearances on Fox News. He does all of his stupid TV appearances with his makeup and makes his hair nice and pretty. This is the guy that's talking about Hunter Biden. Are you kidding me? This is what took place yesterday. So here's Jeffrey Toobin, who's a CNN analyst, his thoughts on the impeachment hearings and why he thinks actually Donald Trump came away as a winner. A little shocking with this opinion. Have a listen to this.
You know what struck me about this hearing was how Donald Trump, in a way, has already won. How much did we hear about Hunter Biden? Over and over again about Hunter Biden. That's what the Republicans are talking about constantly. And You know, there are questions about Hunter Biden's behavior. And so, I mean, this incredible shift of emphasis. And, you know, it's going to be a real challenge for us as journalists to decide how much to follow along with this.
Yeah, and you know, he makes a valid point. You know, a lot of people are, you know, Republicans are just talking about Hunter Biden. They don't want to talk about Donald Trump. Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden.
I think that the Republicans are approaching this like they know that he's going to get impeached in the House, but he will not get impeached in the Senate. He will not be removed from office, and they're focusing on winning in 2020. And part of winning in 2020, assuming the opponent is Joe Biden, is, you know, casting a shadow of a doubt on his son and what happened with Burisma, and if there's a possible, you know, foul play going on with Joe Biden while he was the vice president of the United States. It's just a total change of narrative, which is all Donald Trump has done since day one in the office.
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, look, the bottom line here is the reason why Republicans are talking about Hunter Biden, in my personal opinion, because what Donald Trump has done, his behavior, his actions are indefensible. That's my personal opinion. Trump, by the way, just spoke. He just made some comments about some poll numbers.
I believe that.
And he says that his numbers are through the roof because of impeachment. I disagree with that. I don't think his numbers are through the roof. And many Republicans are making the case, Americans have spoken. No, they haven't. What the hell are you talking about? There are many Republicans there are many Americans out there that do believe that the president should be impeached. We are very divided as a country. So when you hear these idiots on Fox News, like the racist witch Laura Ingraham, or the white supremacist himself and Tucker Carlson, when you hear these idiots on Fox News after 5 p.m. that make the statements, listen, America has spoken. We all know this is a farce. No, that's not true. Maybe you think that way. Maybe half the country thinks that way, but half the country doesn't think that way. We are very divided on this issue. Very divided. Make no mistake about it. And that's why I say this is not bad for the Democrats, because those people that are in the middle and those people that are not sure whether they're going to vote for Donald Trump. By the way, I'm one of those people. I don't know who. I have no idea.
You're voting for Trump.
I have no.
You're
no, I'm not.
Absolutely voting for Trump.
You can't make that assumption. I don't know why you would make that assumption. I don't know who I'm going to vote for right now. I don't like Joe Biden. I have no idea who I'm going to vote for. I'm being completely honest with you. No idea. There are some people that are running on the Democratic side that I like. I've talked about Pete Buttigieg. Okay. I like him. I respect him. But the point I'm trying to make is that to make the argument that America has spoken, if you listen to that racist, awful witch, Laura Ingraham, who just squeals her nonsense every night, America has spoken, when her own members of her family won't even talk to her because she's such an awful human being, by the way.
Is that true?
Yes, it is true.
That is true. Wow.
Her brother, who happens to be gay.
Did not know that.
Her brother, who happens to be gay, refuses to speak with her, calls her far worse names than I do. Okay? You know, she's just an awful person, and she's a racist. And I can give you many of the – I don't just call somebody a racist unless I have specific examples why. But anyway, we're getting in off kilter here. What I'm trying to say is that anyone who says that America has spoken, and you know, because if you hear Republicans on CNN or Fox News, you know, make these appearances and they think they speak for all Americans. No, we don't, you hacks, you partisan hacks. We don't. The president is not above the law. Whether it is an impeachable offense or not is one thing. We can discuss that. That's fine. But to say that Americans have spoken, I'll tell you what, that witch Laura Ingraham, that racist, she doesn't speak for me.
I'll tell you what Americans have done is they've noticed that there's been one bill passed since this impeachment started.
It's not true.
It happened.
Where did you get that information? That's not true. One bill has been passed?
One bill.
That's not true.
Last week
That's
has
not
been passed.
true.
And then they're still working on the trade deal with China. If this trade deal gets done and it's good, despite the fact of what's going on and how Donald Trump is being attacked consistently, that's a huge win for Donald Trump and the Republicans.
I have to ask you a question. Where did you get that information that only one bill has been passed since this impeachment? Because that's not factually accurate. That's not true. There have been dozens of bills that have been passed. Maybe the bill that you're talking about and you're suggesting is a more high-profile bill than some of the other bills.
I'm talking about the trade deal, with the minor trade deal with Mexico that was passed, I believe, last week.
That's one bill that is passed. And by the way, there are a lot of bills and there are a lot of things that are sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk that are just sitting there, including gun control, by the way. But
the point is, when the House impeaches him and the Senate doesn't, and this goes all for naught, this is 3 months of what? Of just totally dividing the country more than it's been divided, not working in a bipartisan government,
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think the president does a nice job working with Democrats like Bill Clinton did? Do you think the president is reaching out to Democrats?
I don't think the Democrats have tried to work with Donald Trump at all. And, I mean, Chuck Schumer would admit that. Nancy Pelosi would admit that.
I don't think they would. They've tried on numerous occasions to try to work with the president.
They consistently, here's the problem with the Democrats. They're still trying to win in 2016. The Republicans know that they already have the presidency, and they're trying to win in 2020. And that's exactly why. And that's exactly why the narrative has changed to Hunter Biden in this impeachment hearing.
I disagree.
Because, again, they know it's a loss. They know that the House is going to impeach Donald Trump no matter what.
I think that's a right-wing talking point.
But the Senate, no, I mean, it's reality. I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding. Look how they're responding.
Isn't it possible?
They're still saying that almost in 2020, literally, we're 20 days away from 2020. They're still saying that Donald Trump basically stole the election 3 years ago.
Okay,
I mean, come on.
No, I haven't heard a Democrat say that the president stole the election. I don't know where you're getting that from. I haven't heard any prominent Democrats say that. But what do you guys think out there? Open up the phone lines, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. That is a right-wing talking point where people on the right say, well, the only reason why they're doing this impeachment inquiry is because they lost the election in 2016. Hold on.
Because their candidate is not strong.
Can it be possible that some of the Democrats, maybe not all of them, but some of the Democrats personally believe that the president of the United States might have actually broken the law, that it might have actually be abuse of power? Can it be possible that that is the truth? And it's nothing like sour grapes. I'm not saying all Democrats, maybe some of them, you're right, but can it be possible that some of these Democrats absolutely believe that the president abused his power? Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, 257-5396 if you want to chime in on this discussion. Why don't we lead off with Brady? Brady, what's going on?
What's up, Brady?
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I got to ask you, Brian, do you feel Creepy Joe and his son were corrupt at all with Burisma? Because Rudy Giuliani was just over there, and guess what he found?
Go ahead, Brady. Go ahead.
He found a $900,000 payment from Burisma to Creepy Joe for consulting.
Brady, can I ask you a question now? Because every single time you call into the show, you always attack Democrats personally. So let's learn a little bit about Brady. Brady, what do you do for a living?
I'm self-employed.
You're self-employed. When was the last time you went on a date with a woman?
I'm married.
You're married. Boy, do I feel sorry for her. How many times has she cheated on you? Be honest. I'm going to put the over-under at 13 and a half times a year. You sound like the most boring individual in the world sitting in his bunker with his Cracker Jacks with nothing better to do than to call into a radio show and attack Democrats 24/7. How many? No. How many years have you been married? Answer the question.
None of your business.
When was the last time you had sex with your wife?
None of your business.
Yeah, exactly, because you're probably not married and you're probably you're a 40-year-old virgin and you've probably never had sex in your life and nobody wants to talk to you because you're a boring individual and all you do is attack one side of the aisle because you're a loser, Brady. You want to attack Democrats in one side of the aisle 24/7. Let's learn a little bit about Brady. Oh, you're self-employed. Brady, what do you do for a living? I'd love to know what you do. Why don't you tell us? Go ahead. We'll pot him back up. I'll give you a chance, Brady, to defend yourself. What is it that you do for a living that you're so successful since you want to attack everybody else for more success than you, like myself? What do you do for a living? Go ahead. Tell us.
I sell CBD products, HGH, colloidal silver.
You sell You sell you sell steroids? Is that what you do?
Not steroids.
So your only goal in life is to make
human growth hormone, Brian.
Oh, really? So who do you sell that to? Tiger Woods? Who are you selling that stuff to?
Anybody who has a brain, unlike yourself.
So where do you get this product from? You clearly don't make it.
I actually wouldn't mind knowing the health benefits of HGH on a different conversation, Brady.
I have it made in an FDA-approved lab, Brian.
Where's your lab located? Go ahead. I'll plug your business. Where's your right-wing bias lab located?
I have a home-based business, but it's NashLabPro.com.
So you don't have your own lab, then? You claim like you made your lab in your house. Is that?
No, I'm not claiming nothing. My name of my company is Nash Lab Pro.
That's actually not a bad name, Brady.
For a long time.
You're kind of like the Walter White.
So what do you do all day, Brady? Be honest.
Walter White loved Donald Trump.
How do you spend your day all day? I want to know the life of a right-wing biased buffoon. How do you spend?
I get up in the morning. I have my coffee.
Oh, that sounds
Sometimes
exciting.
I smoke a little marijuana to get my day going. I turn on Crazy Brian in the morning and start my day.
Yeah.
I check my internet to see if I've had any sales. What do you do?
I just asked you how you spent your day. I'll gladly answer your question, by the way. All you've told me is you get up, you drink your coffee, and you listen to quote unquote Crazy Brian. And then after,
Well,
hold on.
sometimes.
And then the only other thing you said you do all day is check to see your sales. Wow, you sound like you live a very, very productive life. You sound like.
And I have 2 kids to take care of that I put through school. I also do a handyman service. I'm a painter and carpenter.
You're a painter and carpenter.
I
Okay.
also sell CBD products. I
know you already
home-
mentioned that. You already mentioned that. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna change my show to the Crazy Brian Show. If you change your products and your company to the right-wing bias buffoon personal HDH or whatever the hell you're selling over there, I don't know. Will you do that for me?
One second, Brian. Now that you've gone after double wide owners, manufactured homeowners.
No, I'm just going after you. No. Don't you? You're not gonna. No. Let me tell you something. You're not painting me in a corner. I'm just make no mistake about it. I'm just going after you, Grand Wizard. I'm just going after you.
You love crack, but you hate beer drinkers. Isn't that great?
I love. Let me tell you something. I've never taken crack in my life. You just told me in order to get through your day, you have to smoke. In order to get through, you know what? In order to get through your day, you just said you have to smoke marijuana, drink coffee, and then listen to Crazy Brian. Yeah, exactly. Because you can't actually communicate with people and talk to people on a human level. You have to put drugs into your body in order to communicate. What does that say about you? What does that say about you? Yeah, what does that say about you? Well, you sound like you live such an exciting life, Brady. What's a fun night in the town for you and your wife? When do you get out with your wife? When is your wife? When is your wife?
Around me is fun, Brian.
When is your wife willing to be seen with you in public? Does that ever happen?
Oh, she does it all the time, Brian.
Yeah, why don't you put your wife on the phone then? What is your wife? I'd love to talk to your wife. In fact, next time you call in, I want to have a conversation with your wife. What about that? Will you allow that to happen? Since you seem to attack everybody else on the planet that's on the left, I want to have a conversation with your wife and you on the phone. Are you willing to do that?
And then I want to have a conversation with Hunter Biden. How's that?
Oh, so you're not going to do it then? What are you afraid? You're yeah. There you go with that Tucker Carlson 12-year-old girl laugh again. Thanks, Brady. Yeah. You're caught.
Hey, great call, Brady.
You're caught. All right, here's what we're going to do. We got plenty of callers on the line. I promise you I will get to as many as I can when we come back. In fact, somebody has a question about Laura Ingraham. We've got Elle, we got Paul, we got Linda. I will try to get to as many of your calls as I can when we come back. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Friday. Lot to get to. Obviously, we're talking about the committee with the impeachment situation and, of course, the Judiciary Committee approving these articles of impeachment. We're talking a little bit about that. We touched on a lot of subjects in that first segment. And, of course, we're taking your calls, 257-5396, again, 702-257-5396. Why don't we get to some people that have been waiting very patiently on hold? I kept that last caller on a little bit too long, baby. Let's go to Linda. Linda, you are next on the Vegas Take. Thanks for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
What's up, Linda?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good.
First of all, I have to say, Brian, I try to dislike you, but I can't. I just really like you, even though I'm a Trump supporter.
Linda,
okay?
Linda, I wish every woman had that attitude. I'm telling you, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, but I do.
Thank you.
And then JD, I love your voice over the radio. It sounds really nice.
He's even more sexier in person. Trust me.
Okay, but now. Laura Ingraham. I don't know why you dislike her so much. You know, she's adopted 3 children. Two boys and one girl's from Guadalupe.
Sure. Linda, I will gladly give you a few reasons why I dislike her. Okay, first of all, when you go after the way she went after David Hogg, after he lost many of his friends in that school, and she goes after his grades, you're a petty fool. When you say about LeBron James, shut up and dribble. And by the way, that's what she said, but yet she has musicians on her show all the time. She has people on her show all the time that agree with her. She doesn't say to Ted Nugent, shut up and play a guitar and sing. And then she goes after Nipsey Hussle. I guarantee you she had no idea who Nipsey Hussle was before he was brutally murdered. A man who did a lot for his community and did a lot of good things. So what did she decide to do? Just a week after Nipsey Hussle is murdered, she decides to play some of his lyrics and go after his rap lyrics. I believe for that reason and many other reasons, including the fact that she goes after illegal immigrants on a daily basis. I believe she is a racist who hides behind that cross she wears and her religion. And by the way, her brother echoes the exact same things that I echo, and he won't speak to her. Now, I'm sure she's done some good things in her life. Like you said, she's adopted kids, but that does not excuse some of the things she has done on her daily show, attacking minorities, attacking African Americans, attacking illegals, and never criticizing any Republican, or certainly not Donald Trump. Those are the reasons why I think she is a racist witch.
All right, and then I got to say this. When you guys, the day JD came in and talked about his horoscope changing,
yeah.
Oh, my God, you guys were hilarious. That was so funny. You were so funny, Brian. And JD was so serious about that horoscope, which, I mean, I thought he was.
That was a very, very rough day for me. I don't want to revisit it.
Hold on.
That was hysterical.
I'd rather not revisit it.
While I appreciate those compliments, that's more boring than having conflict on the radio. So let's go back.
Right.
Let's go back to Laura Ingraham. Do you not understand where? Be honest, Linda, and you're entitled to your opinion. But do you not understand where I'm coming from? The reason why I call her some of those names.
I can understand how you feel like that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you understanding that.
And then one more thing.
That's all I ask.
I just have to talk about Colin Kaepernick. I never heard it except on our local news from the Wagners.
Yeah.
When you talk about him, that could be me speaking. Me and you are
agree.
exactly on the same page. But they said the guy the receiver that he threw the ball to on that tryout he was doing at the high school or wherever, that the Washington picked that guy up. Did you hear anything about that?
They picked up Jordan Vesey, the wide receiver that he was tossed the ball to.
They did, yeah. Listen,
that was so, justice.
Listen,
very ironic, to say the least.
And Linda, listen, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you for the phone call.
I will say this. If you didn't agree with him on the Laura Ingraham thing, he would have called you a right-wing bias buffoon for sure.
No, I wouldn't.
100%.
No, she doesn't agree with me.
I know.
She doesn't.
No, she said
she understands my position, but she doesn't agree with me.
But if she didn't understand your position, you'd have called her a right-wing bias buffoon.
No, I would have probably called her complicit and not but she sounds like a fairly intelligent woman who is a reasonable Republican. I say that all the time. We don't have to agree for me to say that you are a reasonable human being. Just understand where I am coming from, and I will understand where you're coming from. I'm sure Laura Ingraham has done...
As long as you can recognize the fact that there are also unreasonable Democrats.
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you think I would look you in the eye right now, you've been doing this show with me long enough, JD. Do you think I would look you in the eye right now and say, no, every Democrat is reasonable? Do you really think I'm that kind of person that would say something stupid like that?
You're actually wearing sunglasses right now, so I wouldn't be able to
Because
tell.
I have an eye issue, but thank you for making fun of me. I'm seeing the eye doctor today. That's why I'm wearing. Yes, you are. You're hurting my feelings. 257-5396 is the number to call. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Elle. Elle, you're next on the Vegas Take. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Elle?
Good morning. Good morning, guys. Okay, what's on my mind is this impeachment, and I agree with you. This is not about right and left. It's about right and wrong. And the president has done so many things. If you'll think back to the time when they held both houses, the Republicans didn't see fit to have not one oversight hearing, despite all the corruption, despite the security clearance, all of the things that this president did. They didn't see fit to have not one.
Yeah.
So this is why the Democrats seem like they're after him. But somebody has to hold him accountable for what he's done. And
absolutely.
They're lying to the public when they say, oh, this poll and the battleground states and all of this is saying, you remember we heard that with the hearings,
sure,
the midterms.
Yeah.
Remember they told us the same thing, and they went overboard. The Fox crew basically was on the campaign trail with him. They tried to scare us about immigrants invading our country and socialism, and they lost in the landslide. They've lost Republican states. It's going to happen this time.
This is, Elle, let me ask you a question. Elle, because this is, and I don't think I need to ask you this question because I know your position, but when I speak to someone who is on the right, a Republican, who defends Donald Trump and bringing up the Bidens. Here's the way I handle it, and this is what I would suggest the way you handle it in speaking to somebody who is biased on the right. I ask them a very specific question, and I've done this on the air before, and I've caught them in a corner. I say, let me ask you this. When Donald Trump brings up the Bidens to the Ukrainian president, Do you think he only brought it up? 100% of the reason why he brought it up is because he cares about corruption in the Ukraine? Or do you think there's any chance that a part of him brought up the Bidens because Joe Biden is a Democrat that's going to be running against him in 2020? And even the most biased Republicans in the world, I get them to admit that there's a part of it that he probably brought it up because Joe Biden's a Democrat and he doesn't like Joe Biden. And I said, well, there you go. That's the case for abuse of power. If you think even only a 5% of him brought it up because he doesn't like Joe Biden, that is the case for abuse of power. You can paint and put a Republican in a corner that does not agree with this impeachment hearing.
They'll never admit it because it's about power. That's the only reason he brought it up. He thought that was his top challenger, and he had to muddy him up. He had a whole year to do it.
Right.
Keep talking about this and the drunks and all that. But that's the only reason he did it. And again, that's abuse of power. He's done so many things. It wasn't just this call. I wish people stop saying one call, a few less. It's a preponderance of the things. And Brian, tell me this. Will we ever, how do they ever get to this secret location where he put all these phone calls? There's direct evidence right there. Why can't we get to that? Does it take court?
Because
same reason we can't get to Hillary Clinton's 36,000 emails.
Yes and no.
Diddy, you really are sweet, great voice and everything, but you know what? You guys are the good cop, bad cop. Brian's the good cop, and I do enjoy the show though.
Well,
I do.
Thanks a lot, Al.
Well, I appreciate those kind words, and we appreciate the phone call. That's the first time I've ever been called good cop. Campaign is our Campaign talks about police and law enforcement all the time. Campaign, would you say I'm a good cop or a bad cop? He's our videographer, by the way.
I'm going to say that you're a good cop. You're a good cop.
Really?
But you're both are like good cops. But you guys have mean streaks and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say JD's a bad cop. I don't know.
No. I would say he's a good cop.
He's a much kinder individual than me. He treats people with a lot more respect.
Well, I'm an assertive cop.
Fair enough.
Yeah, JD would use deadly force in a traffic accident.
Really?
Traffic stop. Yes.
Ooh,
yes,
wow. Wow.
No hesitation.
You know what? Now
he's not going to shoot you in the leg. He's going to shoot. He's going to center mass.
Yeah, you're right. I tend to agree with you. 257-5396, the number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation. Again, that's 702-257-5396. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you are next up on the Vegas Take. Thank you for your patience, sir. How are you?
What's up, Paul?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good.
Doing good, man.
I heard you ask a question that about have the Republicans and Democrats even tried to work with each other, and I mean to think that they have on either side would be naive. What they are is it's two gangs, two groups of bullies.
Yeah.
That neither one wants to back down, and both want to have the ultimate say-so on everything.
Paul, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Here's the way I put it, and I think you'll probably agree with me on this one. Let me know. I think the two worst words in this country are Republican and Democrat. And the reason why I say that is because in too many instances, they make decisions based on what is good for their party and not as what is not good for the country. I think that is the problem with politics today, and this isn't anything new. I'm not going to blame Donald Trump for that, but this has been going on for years and years, and I don't see it changing in our lifetime, my friend, sadly.
I agree with you. I mean, the party should mean nothing. The only thing that should matter is what's best for the country. And now, regardless of, I'm not leaning heavily either way. I would say I was going to lean a little bit towards Trump, and only because of his economic resolve that we've had.
Right.
But as far as the Democrats, I mean, of course, whichever channel you listen to, that's what you're going to hear that side of it.
Well, I got to tell you, I hope, Paul, let me ask you another question. And listen, I bash Trump all the time. I can't stand the man, mostly for personal reasons, but I would hope that if you listen to this show, you would say, you know what, Brian also goes after Democrats. Brian also is not a Pelosi fan. He's not a Chuck Schumer fan. Brian does go after Democrats. I mean, I hope you feel that way, because I am certainly not. I don't consider myself one-sided. I just can't stand the president.
I'm not a fan of any politician.
Okay, so we agree.
I'm a fan of the United States of America.
Well, we agree. Okay, good.
But my thing is, I've heard about the way that the impeachment has gone, how they've gotten the FISA warrants, things like that.
Right.
And I believe that the Democrats believe that President Trump is guilty the same way that they believe that the neighbor jaywalked this morning. Now, did they call the police to come pick up their neighbor? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
I just think this is it's a tool, because, like somebody said, the Democrats are still talking about 2016, and the Republicans are talking about 2020. We hear Republicans talking about President Obama, which at this point is irrelevant.
Hey, listen. I could not agree with you more, Paul, and I can't stand. And by the way, thank you for the phone call. And I can't stand it when we're talking about Donald Trump and people want to bring up Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. I can't stand it. I hate it. 257-5396 is the number to call again. 702-257-5396. Go to Joel. Joel, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Joel?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
I've been listening to Republicans complain about how this impeachment process is unfair. But yesterday, I heard Mitch McConnell on national TV when asked about how he's going to run the Senate trial, the trial part of this. He said, we're going to work closely with the White House counsel. So explain to me how a juror
exactly.
who is supposed to be impartial.
Well, that's a valid point.
One side.
Oh, listen, Joel, that's a valid point. As I like to call Mitch McConnell, he is the useless turtle. He never gets anything done. This guy's not going to be reelected, and that'll be a great day for America. Trust me.
I agree, but the point is we're moving into the trial phase of this,
right?
Where the decision has already been made.
Yeah. Well, listen, I wish.
What's the point in holding the trial?
Well, I agree with you, and I wish the president would cooperate. Obviously, the reason why he's not cooperating, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this one out, is because he did some things probably that are illegal. He's telling people not to testify.
But that's not the point where we're at now. We're past that. We're at the point now where the jury has already made up his mind before anybody has presented a case at the trial.
Right.
When Mitch McConnell, who runs the Senate, they have the majority, when he says we're going to work closely with the defendant, in this case, the White House and Donald Trump, how can anybody expect a fair outcome when they've already decided that they're going to work with one side
it's not fair.
And not the other?
It's a very valid point, Joel, and I appreciate your phone call. It's not fair.
Yeah, good call, Joel.
It's not fair. You have people on one side of the aisle that have already decided this is an impeachable offense, and then you have people on the other side of the aisle that are not even willing to admit that what the president did was wrong.
I don't think it's unfair. It's clear. I mean, clearly what he did was inappropriate, but I think a lot of presidents have done the same thing. I just think that it is kind of a waste of time, considering the fact that he's not going to be impeached by the Senate. He's not going to be removed, and right now it's making the Democrats look very bad and very desperate.
Disagree.
And also, you're getting a chance to bring up Hunter Biden, and I mean, all the Republicans are doing is they're taking this platform where the entire country is watching, and they're bringing up Hunter Biden. They're attacking Joe Biden because they know that he's most likely going to be the competition for Donald Trump in 2020. And they're taking advantage of that because, again, they're trying to win in 2020. They're not thinking about 2016.
Well, I disagree with you. We've talked about this before, that it makes the Democrats look bad. The only way it could make the Democrats look bad is if you're changing voters saying, well, I didn't like Donald Trump before, but now I like him. I'm sorry, JD. I disagree with you. I don't see that anybody that I've ever spoken to that said they're going to vote for Trump only because of this impeachment.
It makes Democrats look like they're more concerned about their own self-interest than they are with the good of the country, Brian.
And you don't think Republicans are doing that in Congress right now? The ones that admitted a month or two ago that what Trump did was wrong, and now they won't even say he did everything wrong?
Things are getting done. The economy is good. The numbers are good.
You're not answering my question.
People have money to spend on Christmas.
You're not answering my question.
They don't care about Donald Trump's rhetoric, or if he may have tried to withhold $400 million from the Ukraine.
Can I say something to this?
Ahead. And then we'll take some more calls.
Okay. My grandmother, she used to tell me all money isn't good money, and do you honestly, JD, do you think that was there an abuse of power? Yes or no? Just a simple yes or no question.
Oh, the conversation was probably inappropriate.
That's not what he asked.
I would say that maybe 20% of the conversation was based on Joe Biden. But he didn't even need. He didn't need to go after Joe Biden because he's going to destroy Joe Biden in 2020, in my opinion. And I've been saying that for 6 months.
And I'm speaking for a certain segment of the population. Not white, black, Mexican, it don't even matter. And we see all this going on, and it's like this huge distraction and stuff. And it's like, for the average person, we're wondering like nothing's going to happen.
Probably not. Let's take some more phone. I agree with you. Let's take some more phone calls at 257-5396. Try to sneak in as many as I can here before we go to break. Let's go to Pete. Pete, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
What's up, Pete?
Hey, good morning, JD, Brian.
What's up?
It's amazing that so many times when I'm calling and I want to say something. JD said it right before I had a chance to, but here's my whole thing about it.
Pete, I hate to. Pete,
Pete, I can't hear you.
Pete, you sound like you're on Obama phone. Can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, here's my
There
whole
you go.
issue with the whole process, JD and Brian.
Okay.
Is it's pretty much everybody knows what the outcome is going to be, that the House is going to approve it and the Senate isn't.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter if you want to debate or not. That's what's going to happen. They've already said it.
Right.
And so if you're doing something that you already know what the outcome is, number one, I'd like to see what the cost of the taxpayer is having all these lawmakers that make 6 digits a year. What is the cost that's being accrued by these guys having these hearings that everybody knows is not going to go anywhere once it hits the Senate?
Yeah.
That's my real question.
All right.
The last thing I want to say is they were elected to do something for the American people. They are not doing anything for the American people.
Well, sadly,
by doing
Pete,
something they already know what the outcome is.
I appreciate your call,
good
Pete.
call, Pete.
Sadly, I tend to agree with you, but here's what I would say to your first point, okay? Just because this costs the taxpayer money, and just because we probably know what the outcome is going to be, doesn't necessarily mean that the president is above the law and we say, well, woe is me. Republicans are never going to impeach him, so let's just let him do whatever he wants to. It's kind of like one of those things where if the number 1 basketball team in the country is playing the number 300 basketball team in the country, to make an analogy, why should people go to the games? Because we know what the outcome is most likely going to be. That's why they play the games, because we don't know what the outcome is going to be. And, you know, to me, it's the same thing here. While we might think we know what the outcome is going to be, the president is not above the law and he needs to be held accountable. So even if Republicans don't have a backbone and they don't think what he did is wrong, at least we get all this stuff and all this evidence out there on the record so people can make their own decisions. So I do think it is worth taxpayer money to do this. With all the money that they're wasting in Washington with all this crap, I don't think this is a waste of money. I really don't.
And Republicans right now are trying to make it plausible for Donald Trump to ask for what he did from the Ukraine. They're saying, well, is it possible that we didn't know where this money was going? Is it possible that Joe Biden and his son were actively involved in corruption? I mean, honestly, let's, and I'll ask you, Brian, a very, very simple question. $60,000 a month. Mm-hmm. This guy is not a Ukrainian citizen. Mm-hmm. He has no experience at all in that field.
I've answered this question already, and I'll answer it again for you.
Of course.
And I'll answer it again.
I mean, do you think that it's possible?
Let me answer it.
That money was moved back and forth from Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, predicated on that relationship with Burisma.
No.
Concerning the fact that it may have been corrupt, and there was documentation on that.
All right, I'll answer your question. First of all, there is no evidence to support the fact that Joe Biden took any money from this deal. That's number one. Number two, it is not within the realm. It is certainly within the realm of possibility to say that Hunter Biden received this job because of who his father is. But you could say the same thing about many other presidents and their kids, and you could say the same thing right now about Donald Trump's kids. Whether they owned a business before or not, they're profiting and making more money off the fact that their father is the president of the United States.
But
it is the exact same thing.
From nothing corrupt.
It doesn't matter. It's not breaking the law. That's what we're talking.
Ivanka Trump is releasing beauty products through China.
We're talking about breaking the law.
And potentially a digital voting software. This is total. This is Hunter Biden working with a oil company, a $1 billion oil company that has that works directly with the Ukrainian government. That's not what Ivanka Trump is doing.
JD, very simply put.
Did she get a couple of trademarks? Yes. Not hard to get a trademark anywhere. It's $600.
It's very simple. You're making it way too difficult. It's not breaking the law. We are talking about breaking the law. You're allowed to get a job somewhere because of who your father is. Now, if you want to put laws into place to stop that, I have no problem with that. There is no evidence, and I mean no evidence, to support the fact that Hunter or Joe Biden broke the law. Let's take some more phone calls. 257-5396. Let's go to Len. Len, you are next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Yeah, I want to chastise Brian for insulting 10-year-olds. How dare you compare politicians to 10-year-olds? 10-year-olds are much better than that.
That's a very valid point, Len. And you know what? I'm going to apologize. I admit when I'm wrong. To all the 10-year-olds out there that are good kids, that are honest and sincere, I am so sorry that I compared you to politicians. Len, I'm a man that can admit when I'm wrong.
Thank you.
No problem. Is that all you have to say? All right, Len. I
used to be 10-year-old, and
I'm still a 10-year-old. I'm still a 10-year-old, Len. Well, I appreciate that call, Len. And actually, that is a very valid point. There are a lot of good kids out there. I hate to compare to them some of these buffoons that are in office. So
very, very solid call, Len.
Thank you, Len. 257-539. Let's go to Yoder. Yoder, you are next on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Morning, guys. How
What's
are
up,
you?
Yoder? Great.
Doing good.
Good, man. Is this the good and bad cop?
I never considered myself a good cop, but that's, you know.
Two things, guys. It's simple. It really is. I've been here since 1978, and just want to say that America has always been great. I love this place, man. I'm from Nicaragua. And it's something that's very simple, a concept that we all need to understand. Every action has a reaction. His actions have always been negative. Don't expect anything positive to come out of that. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, Yoder. That was well said. I don't disagree with you.
I needed that. I needed that.
That was refreshing. I got to squeeze in one more call before we go to break. Anthony, I got about a minute for you, my friend. Go ahead.
What's up, Anthony?
Hey, guys. I think one of the best things that happened for us as a country is that the Republican Party in 36 districts voted Democrat and allowed the House to go with the Democratic rule. Because we would have never known about this constitutional issue if Republicans did not vote Democrats into office. So, and then I'm a liberal Democrat, but I think that this proves that we have a great country. It's not as crazy as everybody says it is. I mean, when Republicans put Democrats in power, it wasn't Democratic voters.
Yeah.
So, this is an important issue. It is a constitutional sin that the president did. He violated his constitutional oath, not a legal or criminal.
All right,
great
fair
job
enough. Fair enough.
I think that
I appreciate
it's very
that.
obvious,
All right,
I think that
thank you.
every
Anthony,
Republican has to admit it. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Anthony. I apologize. I have to cut
Good
you
call,
off.
Anthony.
I'm up against a hard break here, but obviously you're a Democrat and you support the left. I tend to disagree with you. I think that this country is crazy. There's a lot of crazy people in this country, particularly some that are running the country. So I tend to disagree with you, but I appreciate your positivity, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with this impeachment inquiry. Coming up next, red flag laws in Nevada. We got one woman coming up who is completely against it. She happens to do a radio show here in Vegas, too. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. This is the Vegas Take.